Welcome, dear friends, to another study of the Spiritist Magazine. What a blessing to be with you today. Here we are discussing one of the articles from one of the issues of the Spiritist Magazine, as well as reminding everybody to go visit spiritistmagazine.org. The link is in the description, where you can find all of the issues free of charge. You can find a contact form about us, the link to the Facebook page of the Spiritist Magazine, as well as the link to the apps in the Google Play Store and the App Store, as well as a donation link as well. We are able to be here today because Christ is allowing us to meet. It's always an honor and a pleasure to be with you. And we thank all who make it possible for us to be here today, from those who take care of the power grid, from those who have clothed us, to those who created the machinery, the computer, the camera, the microphone, the lights, as well as the internet connection, so we can be here today. We thank the mentors of the magazine for this opportunity, for their guidance, and we are always asking them for their protection and inspiration as we discuss such a beautiful message today. Today we'll be talking about a message from the book Life Writes, or A Vida Escreve, by Hilario Silva, through the mediumship of Francisco Candido Xavier and Valdo Vieira. This is chapter 27 of the book. I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see the article in its entirety. I like to remind everybody that you can download the PDF version of the magazine that shows on my computer, and you can scroll down to different articles depending on what you need. You can read in order, you can open it at random. In the spiritistmagazine.org website, you can also avail yourselves of a physical copy of the magazine. And this copy is the one that I've purchased, so that I can show to you how beautiful and well planned it is. You can use it for your Gosport home studies. You can use it at your Spiritist center. So many options for us to study the topics. We have already discussed some of the articles of this issue. The link to the playlists, of course, are on our YouTube pages. I am here from the Spirit Society of Richmond in Richmond, Virginia, in collaboration with Kardec Radio and the Spiritist Magazine, bringing these articles for our study. Remember, the hosts are also learning with you, and that the ones who teach also have to apply, which makes it much more difficult for us, right? All imperfect, perfectible, new spirits improving ourselves on the earth. So this is the article we're going to be talking today. It's called Euripedes Vision. Let me correct the apostrophe here. Spirit's vision. So this is Euripedes Barçanufo. He was a medium from Minas Gerais, specifically from Sacramento, and he left many, many different beautiful works, including the first Spiritist school. He was, we have discussed many messages about him and from him before, and the teachings are always of much importance and very relevant to our daily lives. So I'm going to get rid of the thumbnails so that we can have a little bit more space for the teachings. And as you know, as a preface to those who do not know of the Spiritist Magazine or the Spiritist Doctrine, perhaps you are here for the first time, welcome. You found this, maybe YouTube suggested it to you. And that's why it's important for us to subscribe, to like, to follow, to share, so that this message can reach others and be of benefit to them. So when we talk about the vision that Euripedes is going to see right now, we also, you and I, in our daily lives, we're not quite at the level of work of Euripedes' vision, as we're going to see soon. However, every day we have the opportunity to rehearse what it would be to have our lives fully in the spiritual world. During our sleep and dreams, you can read more about it in the Spirit's book. You and I leave the physical body behind, whatever we are in our beds, in our houses, and we are able to travel around to see things. That's what dreams are made of, right? The things that you and I engage in while at sleep. So when we are understanding that we are spirits reincarnated on the body, and between our spirit and our physical body have perispirit. Technically, we are souls because we are reincarnated. The spirits are discarnate beings who also have spirit and a perispiritual body. But then when we engage in prayer, in works of the good, in good attunement of our spirit mentors, we can be taken to areas of study, for treatment, for work in the Spiritist Center, so on and so forth. Some other times we're not as engaged, or some of us choose not to be. And then maybe when we sleep, what we're going to continue to do what we were doing right before sleep, depending on how much of attunement with the good vibrations of the universe we are. So some of us are going to go far, others are going to go engage in the same activities we were asleep and when we were awake. Meaning, people may be going to parties, to concerts, to commit crimes together, to confabulate in different enterprises on the earth. You may return to your work if you're focused on your work throughout the day. So that's the importance of intelligent sleep. So we can have a little glimpse of what Euripedes experienced, not to compare ourselves to him, of course, but just to give us a reminder of the importance of intelligent sleep, of constant prayer and meditation throughout the day, using prayer right before sleep, asking God to grant us the permission to go to places so we can experience things as well, and we can be well-rounded, well-guided, and well-protected by the mentors. So now on to Spirit Euripedes' vision, of course, because we're not here to talk about me and sleep and dreams, even though it's a very, very interesting and captivating teachings. All right, so first Hilario brings to us who Euripedes was. So he's going to say Euripedes Barçanufo, the apostle of mediumship, began in Sacramento in the state of Minas Gerais to be observed outside the physical body in an admirable unfolding. When one time at night he saw himself in prodigious volitation. Remember, the spirits volitate? Some of them. Although restless, as if dragged by someone's will, in a whirlworld of love, he went up, up, and up. So these were the sensations of Euripides. He always went up. He wanted to stop and get out, recovering the carnal vehicle, so he wanted to return to his body, but he couldn't. Intangible arms protected him on his sublime excursion. And that's a feeling you can have. You can today, right now, think of your mentor, think of the love of Jesus, the radiations from his heart reaching us. And eventually we can feel these arms protecting us. Who are they? The good spirits, our mentors and guides, the mentors and guides of our centers, right? Back to Euripides. He breathed in another environment. Now he's traveling through space in the different realms of reality, in the different spiritual realms and colonies and environments. He wore a light form, not the physical form that you and I have, breathing in an ocean of even lighter air. You might be thinking I'm reading a script of a movie, right? But he's traveling through space, and he had what? Merit, preparation, dedication to do so. He traveled in the manner of a guided bird until he recognized himself on a green meadow. So he's the vision. He noticed the beautiful landscape. The spiritual realm is beautiful. It's full of love and goodness because goodness and love reigns in the universe. He noticed the beautiful landscape. When not far away, he saw a man meditated, surrounded by sweet light. Who is he? As if magnetized by the unknown, he approached. Visualize it. You can, in the book After Death, parenthesis. And also neuroscience shows this as well. When the book After Death, Leon Denis reminds to us, every time you read something, we are connected to the pages. When I say something like apple, your mind creates images. So when you read this, imagine yourself to be traveling up, these invisible arms protecting you, and then you reach this green meadow. Think of valley, beautiful green meadow. And at a distance, a man is seated. But not just a man. He was meditating, something we should also do. Because he did this. You're going to see who it is. But he also did this when he was alive, incarnated on the earth. Surrounded by sweet light is the imagery. And may I add, if you know how to draw or paint, please paint this. As if magnetized by the unknown, he approached. So now you or Euripedes are walking towards the man, meditating in this sweet light around him. There was, however, a moment he stopped trembling. Something told him inside not to go any further. That intuition, right? He was like, okay, I want to go, but I need to stop. What did he do? He listened to that and he obeyed. And in a daze of joy, he recognized himself in the presence of Christ. This would be a beautiful passage session. You feel yourself leaving your physical body, you travel up, these invisible arms greater than you. Metal, green metal, this man sitting, his magnetism, his loving magnetism that only Christ Spirit has. Surrounded by sweet light, and you go, but then there is a moment that you realize you need to stop there. And you're in a daze of joy. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could repeat this and again every night and visualize and feel ourselves in the presence of Christ? Because Christ is everywhere and is caring for you as well today. What did Euripedes do? Probably what we would do. He lowered his head, overwhelmed by the unforeseen honor, and remained silent, feeling like an intruder, unable to return or move forward. So he was there in awe. Also understanding that it was an honor for him to be visiting Christ. Also thinking he didn't belong, right? Because sometimes we do feel like intruders in life. You do belong. Even if it's just a vision of a faraway Christ looking deep inside your eyes, you belong. Now, Euripedes recalled, he is Euripedes, the lessons of Christianity, the temples of the world, the tributes paid to the Lord, in literature and the arts, and his message echoes among humanity during almost 20 centuries. Overshadowed by the grandeur of the moment, he began to cry. Now Euripedes crying. Isn't it us listening to the lessons of Christianity, the temples we've erected in honor of God and Christ, the beautiful basilicas everywhere in the world? Tributes paid to the Lord, songs, poems, hymns, acts of worship, acts of service. His message continues to echo. Now he's crying. So maybe you, right? Visualize yourself looking at Christ. You probably would cry too. Thick tears bathed his face when he gained courage. Raised his eyes, humble. Would you be courageous enough to look if you know Christ was in front of you, or would we feel less than? Be courageous and ask Christ how you can serve more, or ask for what you need today. But he saw that Jesus was also crying. Plot twist. What would you do if you saw Jesus crying? Probably what you're going to read next. Pierced with sudden suffering, seeing him crying, right? Christ is crying. He wanted to do something that he could comfort the sublime friend. Just as you see someone suffering, someone cries in front of you, we want to hug, we want to support, we want to console. Stroke his hands, strike his hands, or stretch out like a royal dog at his feet. As if he was sinking to a strange ground, he recalled, however, the torments of Christ to be perpetuated individuals to this day on earth, they throw you incomprehension and sarcasm. Still today, we have people on the earth who do not understand Christ, who know of him deep inside their hearts because he is our spiritual governor of the planet. So he knows each and every one of us intimately, but we still don't comprehend him. In this line of thought, this is Euripedes thinking. He opened his mouth and spoke pleadingly. Lord, why are you crying? Jesus did not respond. Jesus was always very wise with his words. We are the ones who talk a lot. Jesus is precise and concise. But wanting to make sure he was heard, Euripedes reiterated, asked, do you cry for the unbelievers of the world? Do you think Jesus cries for what? For those who don't believe in him? Or those who believe in him and don't do anything? In Rapture, the missionary from Sacramento noticed that Christ now looked back at him. Let's go back. You're traveling up. You reach the meadow. You see the man. You walk towards him, attracted by his loving magnetism. You realize it's Christ. He looks down. And then finally, he has the courage to look up and see. He's crying. And then he realizes Christ is crying too. Only now, Jesus looks back at him. Can you see yourself being looked at by Jesus eye to eye? None of the depictions of Jesus, even the one beautiful one I have here from Akiane, can get any closer to what he must have been to be locking eyes with Christ. And after a moment of attention, so he took his time, he replied in a very sweet voice. He who, Christ. Words of Christ now. No, my son, I do not suffer for the unbelievers to whom we owe love. I cry for all who knows the gospel but do not practice it. Let's take a moment. How many of us study? Say we appreciate the Christ, but we don't apply it, right? Many of us, including ourselves in the past or in the present. Do we really apply the teachings of the Christ each and every moment of our day, each every millisecond of the day? If we're being very honest. Now, the important part is that we recognize that we should, and then we can change it, we can do it. So what happens is 3 sentences of Christ. Euripedes will not be able to describe what happened then. As if he had fallen into a deep shadow, faced with the pain that the answer had brought him, he descended, he went down. And he woke up in the body of flesh. It was dawn, so he was sleeping. He got up and never slept again. And since that day, okay, he had the experience. He saw Christ. And we can only imagine. He took the lesson, and what does he do? Pretty much what we should do. And since that day, without communicating to anyone the divine revelation that vibrated in his conscience, he, Euripedes, gave himself to the needy and the sick, without even a day's rest, serving until death, until the death of the physical body. So, what can we learn from this article? That we should value the time we have left in this reincarnation, that we need to give ourselves to the needy and the sick without rest, which is the opposite of what most of us want to do. Most of us want to rest. We're tired, we have so much going on, we work, we're busy, 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 we're addicted to business, we're just doing a lot of things because others are doing it, because the media is telling us to do, because our friends are doing it. And we should serve until the moment of our discarnation. Just imagine how it would be to see Christ, even if he hadn't looked at us, or in this case at Euripedes, because Christ is always looking after us. But if we could have the merit to travel to regions that only our imagination can, not even our imagination, right? Because the spirits say that we don't, as imperfect spirits, know what it is to be pure spirit, because it's just a pure spirit. They don't describe because it's really hard for us to know. Just possibilities that Christ brought himself down to a different level so Euripedes could rise up, because Christ is doing that all the time. He's reaching down to help us. So let's think about how we can give ourselves to the needy, to the sick. We can rest less, serve more, right? Isn't that beautiful? Beautiful message. Unfortunately, the book is not yet in English, but it's been translated. A few messages appear in the Spiritist Magazine. And I'll come back here to the top so that you can take a good image of Euripedes, outstanding work of the Christ while reincarnated, did discarnate during the flu pandemic 1919. And hope this inspires you to get to know more about the Spiritist Magazine, get to know more about yourself, your true essence, what you're here for, what should we be doing, how can we serve more, so on and so forth. Dear friends, we are done today with our studies. However, stick around. Our dear friend Carol Correa will be with you at 9 p.m. discussing the divine laws. Let's go ahead and practice intelligent sleep. Let's meet with our mentors, with our guides for treatment, for guidance, for study, for service. And I hope that Christ and the Lord, our God, can grant us another opportunity of being together. So, God willing, I'll return next week with another Spiritist Magazine program. Have a blessed day.